The concept of native title may just well be the catalyst that destroys Australia, or at least severely tears apart what remaining social cohesion we thought we might have had. Native title essentially states that one group of Australians of a particular ethnicity, that is Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, have pre-existing rights to certain lands and waters, primarily Crown lands, which the rest of us don't. Yes, it's divisive, yes, it's a threat to social cohesion, and yes, it's based purely on racial and cultural identity. How anybody can think this is beneficial to society is beyond me. As you can see on this map from the Native Title Tribunal, more than 50% of Australia is under native title or has a current claim that is ongoing. Where does this stop? The idea is that certain people have some kind of kinship with the land, not because of their social upbringing or place of birth, but simply because of their ancestry, essentially their DNA or biology. Somehow their genetics makes them more connected to the land than the rest of us. Legally speaking, they must show they have maintained a continuous connection with the land under their traditional laws and customs since before European settlement. Well, I'd argue anyone born in Australia, or even raised from a young age in Australia, has the same kinship with the land and waters. Are you telling me an Australian fisherman doesn't have a deep connection with the waters? Or what about a fifth-generation farmer? Of course they have a deep connection to this country, certainly no less than an Aboriginal person raised in an inner-city suburb of Sydney. I would argue that any social policy or law should serve to unify Australia, not divide. For example, the concept of bringing us all together under the one flag, a symbol of our shared national identity. Regardless of our cultural, ethnic or ancestral background, the national flag allows us to be seen as a single united people with a common identity. But no, apparently any mention of uniting us under a single flag is racist. Take, for example, the recent March for Australia rallies. The ABC reported, weaponisation of Australian flag denounced in wake of divisive rallies. They act like the very action of marching with the Australian flag is not only divisive, but a metaphorical weapon. Or what about Senators Jacinta Price and Pauline Hanson wearing a flag in the Senate? 9 News reported, Jacinta Price and Pauline Hanson ordered to remove Australian flag in Senate, noting it was National Flag Day. It wasn't just some kind of random stunt. And what about every year on Australia Day? There are mass protests demonising Australia, as if this country is something that should not be celebrated. Our stable institutions, our high standard of living, our world-class social services, our relatively low crime rate, although Victoria is certainly testing this theory of late. What is there not to celebrate about Australia? But no, we have to pretend that anything that brings us together is divisive, and vice versa. In true 1984 Orwellian fashion, I think a good slogan for modern Australia would be "Division is Unity." And I think native title fits perfectly under that banner. When most of us think of native title, perhaps natural wonders come to mind. Think of the climbing ban or the more recent photography restrictions of Uluru, or earlier this year, as reported by the ABC, recreational activity on country's biggest lake banned, regarding Lake Eyre. Or what about world-famous Mount Arapiles in Victoria? The ABC reported, Aboriginal people say Mount Arapiles climbing ban has sparked racist backlash. No, really? Or what about Mount Warning being closed to the public? Security guards paid $7,000 a week to guard Mount Warning. We can't have any non-Aboriginal Australians climbing an Australian mountain. That would be heresy. What other countries allow their citizens to climb mountains? Oh, that's right, all of them. It's just us mug Australians who are restricted in our own backyard because, heritage is non-negotiable. It should be noted that while these decisions were reached through formal legal or consultative processes, their practical outcome is that the public is now excluded from some of Australia's most beloved natural wonders. And just when you thought that native title couldn't go much further, sorry, you'd be wrong. Thank you to a Sydney viewer who sent this in. The ABC recently reported, High Court rules in favour of Aboriginal Land Council on unused Sydney Bowling Club. The Guardian, common sense and justice, Sydney Bowling Club in Aboriginal hands after High Court win. Yes, we're dividing land up in Australia based on one's ethnic background. Legally, only unused Crown lands can be claimed under native title, but the High Court ruled that the land being under lease alone was not enough to establish use. So basically, the current leaseholder, Quarry Street, now no longer have any rights to the site of the Paddington Bowling Club. Not only that, the High Court also ordered that Quarry Street pay the costs of the La Perouse local Aboriginal Land Council. It should be noted that this wasn't a unanimous decision. 3 out of the 5 justices on the bench agreed the land was not in use, so even within the High Court there is disagreement. New South Wales Aboriginal Land Council Chair Raymond Kelly was delighted with the result. He said, "Do not underestimate anything. This is not just a small win on a land rights claim. This is a win for common sense and justice for Aboriginal people. It holds the line in New South Wales and sends a message right across the country. So look out, your local unused bowls club could be next." Member for Sydney and LGBT rights activist Alex Greenwich, shown here next to Lord Mayor Clover Moore, praised the decision, saying, "This site has been disrespected by the current leaseholders and left derelict for far too long. This judgment gives the site a new start by returning it to the traditional landowners. I congratulate the La Perouse local Aboriginal Land Council for their victory and perseverance." So there you go. You thought that holding a lease over a parcel of land makes you exempt from native title? Think again.